It's like worse than Siri, I swear. Well, electronic voice there. All right. Yeah, like I said, I just try and make it all about whatever you want to see, Randy. So definitely, if you see something you want me to look at, stop me. Otherwise, I will just kind of go through kind of a basic orientation as to the platform and what it can do and how we know people get work out of it. And then, like I said, if you have any questions, please do stop me. I like to make it most applicable to whoever's on the call. I will do my best to keep up on the chat. If you have any questions you wanted to send over that way, that will work as well. I should be able to do that. So when you log in, this is kind of what you see. You always have saved searches, projects that you're following, projects you're interested in, and projects you've taken notes on. The basic kind of, we call them buckets of information, where we house details and fields and information. We have project fields, project information, company information, contact information, and then solicitations or procurements. And then I love this map feature. It's pretty fun. I'm actually gonna let that start opening up. And then on the dashboard, you can see the projects that you've recently viewed, and then also what we've added. So recently added stuff. So the newest stuff. We find people that are real active in here stay up on what we put in very, very well. So it's kind of cool. I'll take you through, what's that? Oh, okay. I can't hear very well, so I don't know if you're saying anything. Definitely speak up if you are, Randy. So I kind of take you through the project search by details. This is kind of the key place. It's kind of the hub, if you will, for project leads. That is what we're all about. The database does have projects that are valued at 5 million or more total construction costs, and they have to be in the state. So we're not trying to be, a national source. We're trying to do a very good job for one state, just for Arizona for right now. So how we do that, we have what we hope is enough detail and enough fields that you can find exactly what you want, but not burden you, not bog you down with a ton of stuff you don't want and don't need. So again, we're looking at just the bigger stuff. So it's got to be 5 million or more total construction costs, has to be in the state. We do catch stuff very early. So when we put it in, we have to have a fair amount of information so we can put these projects in. And you'll kind of see this here. So save searches, you can always save your search. That's actually really important. So when you go to save a search, what that does is it kicks off an internal notification to us that says, hey, these are the projects that's most interesting to Rebecca. Send her a daily update as to anything new that's matching my criteria or anything we've updated. So that's kind of a big thing. You can give it a title. So let's call it, just for today's webinar, today is 6/11. So I'm just going to call it that. I'm going to leave the name blank because I'm looking for more projects than just one. If you wanted to just look for projects for a specific owner, you can do that. We do sell to a lot of salespeople. A lot of sales reps use this as a tool. So you can do that with a geographic base if you wanted to do something with a city or a zip code. A couple other criteria we have the sectors, whether it's a public or private. Those are two real big ones. And then we have just a couple more that we think are real unique in the pursuits. So if you're going after tribal work, what we find is people that have kind of a tribal specialty, they'll kind of do almost any kind of market sector. There's a lot less requirements or a lot less precision there. It's more like, hey, if we do tribal, we can hire the right people, we can partner with the right people to do maybe a wastewater project, and then the next day be working on a daycare center or a school. So same thing on the federal. If it's a federal pursuit, those pursuits, those project solicitations are very different. So we do have that sector if you want to look at those specifically. And then P3s is those public-private partnerships. Those are a little bit interesting as well. Method of delivery, I'm sorry, I skipped two. Contract availability, whether it's design or construction. So kind of our three real big areas we're trying to figure out is who's the owner, who's the design firm, and who's the general contractor. And kind of our method behind the madness there is anybody that subscribes to this platform, you should be hired by one of those three people, or at most maybe one removed. So if it's, a specialty sub-consultant, they're usually hired by the prime architect. Maybe they're hired by, a sub-consultant if they're, very specialized. But what we really feel is that if we give you the owner, the prime design firm, whether it's an engineering firm or architect, and the prime general contractor, 98% of the people that are in this market, in this industry, can find and can get to who they need to get to, whether it's that one person or, like I said, kind of one removed. We really want to focus on that. So we focus on the design contract availability. This also tells you a lot about, where in the process this project is. So for instance, if I'm an electrician, I really can't do anything until the general contractor is in place. So I want to say general construction contract available equals no. And then very similarly on the design side, if I'm a manufacturer's rep, repping one very specific brand of tile or lighting or whatnot, I don't really want to get involved until the architect is in place, until they've actually started design. It's too early for me if the design contract isn't even awarded yet. And then on the flip side, if I'm a general contractor, don't tell me about projects that already have a general contractor selected. There's just no room for me. There's nothing there. It's kind of a bum lead. So I would want to say construction contract available equals yes. So those are kind of how we think about those ones. Method of delivery, here's your contract types. So a lot of our subscribers pay a lot of attention to this, whether it's direct select. We find those kind of frequently in a scenario that's like the developer is also the owner, or I'm sorry, the developer is also the architect and is also the general contractor. There's no room for anybody else to sit at that table, if they keep it all in-house. Somebody like an LGE design build, sometimes like Orion companies, they have all that in-house, development, architecture, contracting, all that is going to stay right there. So we consider those like direct selects. Also, if you have a hard bid, it's going to be a low bid situation. So if you don't really want to get into that, price is king kind of scenario, you obviously maybe want to look at other things. I will say for our purposes, we catch projects very early. The method of delivery is usually not defined until more closer to the general contractor selection. I'm going to leave that one blank for now. And project status, we spend a lot of time finding things very, very early. So I'm going to grab some of these early statuses. This is where I think we really set ourselves apart. Project status and market sectors. With those two things, man, I can tell you so much. We can get pretty detailed into our search. So all these ones under here, under construction, once it's under construction, a lot less opportunity for our subscribers, for our market. So we kind of don't really pay attention to it too much. We do track projects, much closer when we get them really early, when they're in pre-planning. They move through the planning process, design review, design, general contractor selection. We track those very, very closely. That's kind of the heart of where we spend our time. Once, like I said, once it has broken ground, we'll note it as under construction, and then we'll check on it again when it's wrapping up, and it'll be, project complete. So for our purposes, there's not a lot of opportunity, but some people really do like to see those under construction ones. And then markets. This is again where I think we do a really good job at getting broad enough categories that you get good project leads, but not so broad that you get junk. It can easily turn into, something that gives you too much to really filter through. So our two really broad categories, we've got horizontal, which to us is ground and down. So horizontal, all your utility work, roadway work, park projects, a lot of those projects we consider horizontal. And then very similarly, or on the flip side, the vertical construction, anything with a building structure on it. And within that, we do break things down. We have education, whether it's higher ed or K-12 in charter schools. Healthcare, within healthcare, if I select healthcare, I will include those three right below. So assisted living and nursing homes, hospitals, and MOBs, kind of our range of healthcare projects. Very similarly, hospitality is a category of vertical, but then within hospitality, we have a few more subcategories, which we think gets you real specific if you wanted to. We've got hotels, resorts, casinos versus restaurants versus performing arts centers and sports parks and theme parks. So again, we hope we get you just broad enough, detailed enough that you get really good stuff, but not so detailed that you don't come back with anything. So for today's purposes, let's grab hospitality, let's grab multifamily, and maybe office. So some pretty popular categories there. All right, and so with that, you should come back with a pretty detailed criteria. You should be able to come up with a list of projects that are relevant. Just want to make sure I don't exclude myself. And with any search results page, what you come back with is, you know, a list of search results. So it should be just active stuff that we come back based on our statuses. We should just come back with active stuff. But if you wanted to look at completed or canceled, you could do a little drop down change here and come back with those. And then if you wanted to just straight up export your results, right now we have 359 results. If you wanted to just export those, you certainly could. You can do that as a CSV, which is real close to an Excel, just something that you can manipulate, which is awesome. If you wanted to take it out, if you wanted to play with different things like market share and all kinds of stuff, this is how we do it, is we do this search with the right criteria, and then you do an export, and then you can start manipulating data from there. Or if you just wanted a quick PDF, some kind of report that you wanted to run, you can certainly do that. All of our column headers are sortable. So if I do this, again, there's 359, there's quite a lot of projects here. So projects, owners, status, and city. So Randy, did you want to call out anything that looks interesting to you?
We do, I mean, my division, we do a lot of healthcare, mainly hospital work. But that's, you know, like McCarthy and Oakland do tons and tons of healthcare projects, and we do a lot of their work.
Sure.
We do a lot of K through 12. That's all CMAR. We don't do hardly any hard bid work. That's a waste of time, in my opinion. And we don't do any horizontal, you know, highway or anything like that.
Okay.
Unless it was to be a steel bridge, which almost never are there any steel bridges in Arizona.
Right. Okay.
I don't do any multi-housing, very few hotels, because they're usually just concrete. We've done quite a few jobs on the reservation over the years, but it's been a while since we did one of those. So yeah, we're vertical.
Okay.
Yeah, we do a lot of work at ASU and K through 12.
Perfect. I'm going to run a new search then, get those criteria that you mentioned. So we're going to go for the early stuff. We're going to look at, you know, planning, design, pre-construction, and then how about industrial? Do you guys go after the warehouses?
Oh yeah, we do a lot of big boxes, industrial, or, you know, Amazon projects. These data centers that are going crazy right now. Our big brother's doing the steel package on that Taiwan semiconductor thing out off the 303.
Oh, good.
But,
okay. All right. So these are going to be a little bit more interesting, I think. So with that, we looked at hospitals, healthcare projects, industrial, forget what other ones you said already. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a few of these, if that's okay. If you see anything, definitely stop me and tell me to open it up.
Yeah, and actually, we're just finishing up on that big expansion at Phoenix Airport that we're doing.
The SkyTrain project?
The addition to the airport for McCarthy. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. All right, let's see here. I'm just going to go and open up a few. Okay. All right, so project profiles for all of our projects, and we have a couple thousand in there. I think we have something like 2,000 active projects. So something that's not completed or canceled. So anything that is actively moving through, whether it's design, planning, construction, any of those kind of workflows. We have about 2,000 projects in here right now. So this is kind of what we do. We always break it up. We always give you some kind of visual as to what the project looks like. You also kind of get the visual as to where it is. So this is in Tucson, 75 East Broadway. And then we added this timeline. Geez, I think it was over a year ago now. It was an addition to the database once we launched. So I think it's pretty cool. And I love it because it gives you a visual as to where the project is. So these projects, some of them, this one in particular, very, very long-term project. So we've got our timelines here. Planning, we've got pegged as February of 2018 all the way through October of 2020. Design started in 2020. We've got an estimated ending just a couple weeks ago in beginning of June. And then we think construction is going to begin middle of August. So we are in pre-construction right now. So what's going on here? What we do is we always tell you kind of some other structural things on here. We can PDF the project. So I'll hit that and let it start queuing it up so I can show you what happens there. You can follow a project so you can get specific updates on this one. Got to allow pop-ups. Okay, there we go. And then you can submit an update if you know of something or if you heard a rumor, you can certainly do that. And then over here, the status of design, we've got that. And then the big one is when did we last check on it? So one of the things I think we do very well is that we kind of check on these projects all the time. So with 2,000 projects active, we have a pretty defined, very well-managed system for checking on projects. So we're always asking, you know, what's the next step? You know, how can we find that information out? And then we set a calendar, and, you know, my researchers, they have 4 full-time researchers, and they kind of get after it every day. They check on a few dozen projects every day. So based on what the project is doing. So here's what we've got. So the status note, this will be our most recent activity from the research team. So this is what they learned. We're always going to tell you who we talked to with what company on what day. So this is per Dwayne Miles, with Sunt Construction. June 1st, we found out Sunt is the general contractor, and we've got construction expected to start in August of 2021. And then all these previous status notes, you can kind of read the history. So if you wanted to read all the way down, this one has a lot of history. It's been in here for a while. So there's a lot there. And then we already go back to 2017. So there's quite a bit there. The status notes are kind of a gold mine if you want to figure out like the real history, because again, it's our researchers talking to people. So that's where I think some of the best information comes from. But back over here, over into the project details, on the job right above it, we'll tell you exactly who's on the job. You know, who's working on the job. The owner is Rio Nuevo, Swayman Associates is the design firm, Sunt Construction is the general contractor. So some basic details. This is a P3 project. It's 150,000 square feet. It's valued at roughly $75 million. We've got mixed use apartments, condos, office, and retail. And then what is it? 18 stories, 132 unit, Class A high-rise mixed use. And then it'll give you a little more description down here. And we do revise things as projects change, because what we do know is lots of things change as time goes on. And then kind of the gold mine is going to be your contact information. So if you wanted to talk to somebody at Sun Construction, you might want to try Dwayne Miles. He's the pre-construction manager. Here's his information, email, phone number. He's the prime contractor. If you want to talk to the design firm, Phil is your guy. There's the design firm. And then Peach Properties is the development side. Rio Nuevo is the landowner. So a lot of good contact information there. We always give you a map plugin just so you can see where it is. And then we always give you all the documents we can. So in this case, it's going to be, you know, magazine articles. I love the municipal documents. Those are kind of my favorite to start looking through. In this case, we do have a development package and rendering, schematic design. There is quite a bit of information there for anybody.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Maybe, I don't know if your thing says it or not, but what would be helpful for a lot of people, I think, is if you could find out the information, like from Sunt, whatever, if it's a structural steel frame building or if it's a cast in place concrete building. Because if it's cast in place concrete, we should stay away from them, because about the only steel items in those are stairs and elevator guide rails or whatever. So
Sure. Let me just take a note of that.
And encourage them all to go with a steel frame, please.
Now we are neutral, I gotta say. Yeah. In a perfect world, we would be able to define every little bit of that, you know, the exterior components, interior structures, all that good stuff. So yeah, I aspire to get there for sure. Let me show you what happens when you hit that PDF button. It does come out with a report. You know, how we know most people work is, you know, 1 or 2 people maybe in this database platform looking for project leads. But then typically what happens is once they find one, they generally have to hand it off to other people on their team to do the marketing, to do the technical writing, to do the actual pursuit. The database itself is not super exportable. You can run reports and whatnot, but if you wanted to give a specific project to somebody like, oh, hey, I need, you know, maybe this guy has a real specific approach for how to work downtown, so he's going to look at the project. I need a way to be able to take that information and hand it to him. This PDF report for PDF creator is kind of our answer to that. So with that, you can just PDF it, and now you can save it down into your own folder system and have somebody else on the team that's maybe not in marketing or business development, you know, get a good idea of the project, you know, have all the history kind of in one spot. So contact information if they needed to call people. There's a lot there. So I do love that PDF feature. I think it's real helpful. So that's kind of one project. But kind of one of the cool things you can do is if you wanted to have a meeting, you know, if you wanted to meet with Sunt about this project, you may want to know what else they're working on. So I just click on Sunt Construction and it'll take me to another one of those buckets of information, and it'll take me to their company profile. And within their company profile, I can find out a lot. You know, we can find out they're a general contractor. They do work in a lot of different markets. They definitely do, they're kind of everywhere. That's actually huge. And some key contacts. So I will warn everybody, we are not trying to be LinkedIn. So we definitely do not want to include every single person at Sunt, because then I would have to staff all the people in the world just to, you know, start updating these things all the time. That would be a little beyond my abilities. But then you can also see these, the key thing is these active projects. So if you wanted to meet with them about the Tucson project, maybe you want to talk to them about these other ones too. And again, you can download this as well. So if they've got 30 active projects, major projects. Then if you wanted to see some stuff that they've completed, you could do that as well.
Yeah,
I think
interesting thing about Tucson is I've been with this company for almost 36 years, and we've done quite a few jobs in Tucson, but I have never done a job in Tucson for a Tucson general contractor.
Oh,
Never.
really?
Nope. That's a very tight-knit community.
Yes, I can only imagine. I've heard that many, many times.
Yeah, I done a hospital down there several years ago. It was a JV with J.E. Dunn Phoenix, but with Morrissey down there, and J.E. Dunn handled the whole thing. Just Morrissey, because they selected to have a local participant. Nope. And I've done tons of work in Phoenix and even in California for Sunt, but never a job in Tucson for Sunt that I can recall.
Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, that's a common thing. I would say U of A is, I think, maybe the worst on, they incentivize people to use the local side. So yeah, that is kind of their thing. So again, when you're on the project profile, if you wanted to jump to the company profile, you can just click the name right there, which I think is pretty handy. One of the most common things that happens is when you find a project, you want to reach out about that specific project. But man, it's kind of nice to know about everything else that they have going on too. So I do like doing that. And again, similar, this one is April Extrusions Facility. And just another example of a project profile. And what I really love is that we stay up on these projects so much. So anymore, I'm very convinced it is not hard to find a project lead. It is very hard to get all the information and then to stay up on it. So that's kind of the hard part. I don't think it's hard to find an individual project lead. There's, you know, anybody can do that.
Go back down for a minute.
Actually staying up on these things and finding them and tracking them and updating them as they move through the processes, that's a little harder.
Would you scroll down a little bit?
This is all the way.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Randy, are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the bottom of the page.
Yeah, but yeah, scroll or scroll back up, down, whatever. A little more. There. Oh, so the design is Becknell and the prime is Becknell?
Yes.
I've never heard of them.
Nope, me neither. I don't know them at all. And that's kind of weird. Yeah, so this is
that job.
What's that?
What is that project?
It is a new aluminum extrusion facility and company headquarters.
Huh.
So we've got it tagged as under construction. It looks like it broke ground in May. So a pretty large facility. We've got it pegged at $100 million, 324,000 square feet.
Huh.
Yep.
Okay.
But if you need to get in touch with Becknell, here's their information.
Okay.
Yeah, there are some out-of-town players that come in. I mean, just looking at their area codes, I don't even know where 708 is.
Yeah, 317 708.
Yeah, I don't know where that is. Usually I can peg them or get kind of close. But yeah, I don't know where that one is.
Where is that located?
The project is on South 59th Avenue.
Okay.
Hold on, sweetie, I'm in a meeting and you can't say hi or anything. I'm sorry.
I don't want to say hi to them.
Okay, what?
I was asking if you have any options for a snack.
You can go find one, but you have to get it, okay? Oh, sorry about that.
No, it's fine.
All right. And again, just another project profile. So that's kind of the project search. Another way to search in here is by company. So we have different companies. If you had a very specific one, you could always search by a specific company name. Or if you just wanted to do a little bit broader research, if you just wanted to say, well, hey, I just need to know, let's do general contractors that are active in healthcare. We've got 180 that have a tag of healthcare,
Wow.
within their profile. And we tried to put the ones in there that were actually active in the space. Like we did the research, and so these are the ones that actively promote themselves as a healthcare contractor. So at 180 of them, that's a lot. Let's see. So somebody like Core Construction. I don't think of them as massive in the healthcare spot,
No.
the healthcare space, but they do it. I think of them much more as like a K-12 or public works kind of contractor.
Yeah, the main big boys in healthcare here are McCarthy, Oakland, DPR, Kitchell. That's
Yep,
the biggest chunk.
absolutely. But it is just, like I said, another way to search through our database. It's kind of put that role, if you needed to get in touch with architects, or if you needed to get in touch with, maybe it's just private owners. So if I would just wanted to say, just give me private owners and maybe office. You could always, I always recommend, pairing it, a market sector with a role. So you can come up with a better list, a more targeted list. You can certainly get that. So it is just, again, another way to search. I'm going to take you through our map search. That's kind of the projects. That's a different way to search with the companies.
Whoa, here, kitty, kitty.
And my dog always goes crazy whenever I do these. Never fails. And my favorite thing to do is just to look at projects. Let's do kind of the ones you mentioned. Randy, have you spent any time playing with the map?
I have not.
Oh, I think it's so much fun. I love maps, first of all, so I could kind of get lost in here pretty easily.
But you had that Chandler Regional Medical Center in red. I done that job for McCarthy too.
Nice. All right, well, this is actually maybe too many. Let's take something out. Still got a ton of them.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm just searching for vertical, just healthcare and industrial projects. If you wanted to do a specific address, this is real helpful if you drove by somewhere and you're like, wait a second, I didn't know that one. If you saw, fencing going up or whatnot, you can certainly get there by just kind of finding stuff in here. So these are all our projects. We've added what's called geocodes to all of our project profiles, so it literally drops a pin every time. So you can do a single click and you'll just get like a real quick at a glance. If you wanted to just figure out like, what is that thing? It's the title, the location, the dollar value, and the under construction, or the status under construction. If you wanted to know the full details, you could hit that and it would open up in a new tab, open up the full project profile. So I just love clicking around to find out like, what's going on? What's going on over here?
Yeah.
I think it's pretty fun. But again, like I said, I love playing with maps. Like maps is pretty fun. Just to figure out, what's going on, what's happening around me, kind of thing. Just finding out what project that is. Super helpful. A lot of our salespeople really appreciate this. They've got, territories that they're supposed to go through. So, yeah. All right, Randy, is there anything else I can show you? That's kind of the highlights. I always start with just kind of a real brief highlight.
No, that's fine. Very, very helpful.
Oh, cool. Okay. Excellent.
What I'd like to do sometime, if you or one of your partners could come over here in our conference room and put it up on our screen with my guy that's kind of in charge of our division here,
Sure.
and my chief estimator, my sales guy, Greg, that'd be very helpful.
Sure. Yeah, happy to. We do that quite often. So, yep. Yeah, we're happy to do that. How about I send you an email and we can kind of figure out, do you guys have like a standing like sales meeting or anything?
We have a
every
sales
week?
meeting every Monday at 2 o'clock.
We would be happy to come to that unless you wanted us to come maybe at 1 or something or 3. We could always combine it with that. That one, we've been invited to standing sales meetings quite often.
That'd be great. I see you got a boyfriend.
Huh?
I see you got a boyfriend.
I have a fiance.
Oh, you man.
Yeah.
I done the same thing.
What's that?
I told my kids, I got my one son, Brian, he still works for our company, but he got transferred to Utah. My other son lives in Texas and my stepdaughter lives here. So I told them all the middle of December, I was going to propose to my girlfriend, but don't say a word to anybody. And so my son from Utah and grandkids and his wife flew in. And the day before, my son and his wife and my grandson and his wife were going to fly here from Texas. They all tested positive, which sucked. But anyway, I'll send you a fun little video.
Yeah, do that.
It's cool.
Very
I'm
cool.
a happy boy.
Good.
That person that killed me is going to be in jail till 1936. I don't think, or till 2036. I don't think she'll live that long.
Yeah. Yep,
Cool.
She can stay there. Congratulations, Randy. I'm happy for you.
Thank you so much.
Very cool. All right. Well, with that, I will wrap it up and I will send you an email about like days and times if you want us to come over kind of in conjunction with one of your standing meetings or a different time if that works better. we'll have absolutely happy to do that. So yeah, you got it.
Totally awesome.
All right. Have a good day,
All right,
Randy. I'll talk
you
to you
too.
soon.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.